Welcome back. For 25 years, Emily Grodin's only means of communication was through a handful of words and physical gestures as a result of her nonverbal autism. But all that changed when there was a technological breakthrough with a typing technology.
Well, suddenly she could communicate openly and deeply with people around her and reveal what it was like to experience the world from her perspective. She and her mother document this incredible story in their new memoir. It is entitled, I Have Been Buried Under Years of Dust, a memoir of autism and hope. Valerie Gilpier and her daughter, Emily Grodin, join us today, along with Emily's communication assistant, Stephanie Lewis. Welcome, everyone, to the show.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us.
Well, I'm going to start with you, Valerie, because what an incredible story that you have all captured together. You were able to write this book together because of that breakthrough technology that Cynthia was mentioning, and it is called facilitated communication. And in fact, that is precisely how Emily will be communicating with us today. So can you explain to us quickly what it is and how it works?
Mostly what it means for folks is that someone is sitting next to them, encouraging them to communicate with either in physical proximity to them, either a light touch on their shoulder or on their arm. Some people need more resistance and pushback than others. In Emily's case, she just basically needs someone next to her with a very light tap on her shoulder, as you'll see. But I like to think of it more of as being encouraged typing rather than facilitated communication, because no one's really facilitating in Emily's case, just really encourage her to spill out her words.
So, Valerie, before Emily learned to type in this way through this technology, you could really only communicate the basics with her. But she had this breakthrough at the age of 25, and her first written sentences were, "I have been buried under years of dust, just found my voice.
Mm.
Now I have so much to say." I mean, that's such a beautiful, poetic sentence. Valerie, I can't even imagine, as her mother, what did it feel like for you to read your daughter's first words in that moment?
Well, it was astonishing, coupled with gratitude and disbelief. I mean, she was typing not only these incredible sentences. This is an individual, this is our child who had never written an essay, had never written a poem. We didn't know that she had this incredible inner self, this lyrical capability. All of these things just came spilling out of her. And at first, it was like, unbelievable, this is amazing. And then when the extraordinary joy of it kind of subsided a little bit, and we went, wait a minute, how is this happening? Can this be real? So we got a little skeptical for a while, but continued to work with her, and she continued to do these incredible writings. And finally, we realized this really was real for her, and this really was
Mm.
her new means of communication.
Okay, Emily, I want to turn this over to you. You have called this technology your ticket to the world, which is such a beautiful phrase. And you say that for, as we said, the first 25 years, you had very limited communication. What does it mean to you, both when you were able to start communicating this way and to this day? What does it mean to you to be able to communicate with people around you with this technology?
It has changed everything for me, from being part of my community to the connection I can now have with. It has changed everything for me, from being part of my community to the connection I can now have with others.
It's just
Awesome.
incredible. It's just
Wow.
amazing. Um, you know, this has just sort of opened the floodgates for communication for Emily, which is just incredible. She's expressed now so much about her lived experience. So, Valerie, what are some of the most significant things that you've learned from Emily from the first few months of her learning this technology to now?
When she first started communicating in this fashion, we learned everything that was her hopes and dreams, that she had hopes and dreams. I mean, who knew? With everything tucked inside of her, I knew that she was smart, but I didn't know she wanted to go to college. I didn't know anything about what she wanted to do. So as soon as, she expressed herself and let us know, then it all changed. We got her into college. We got her into doing classes that she wanted to do. Also, the incredibly rich inner life that she had, the incredible creativity, the observations that she had been making her entire life. Honestly, that her powers of communication and her understanding of the world and her sensitivity to the world really defy many of the common misconceptions, I think, about autism and about individuals with autism.
So, Emily, ever since you started communicating in this way, you focused on changing common misconceptions about the autistic community. Your mom was talking about some of those, but what are you most eager for people to understand about autism and about those living with autism?
Capital I. Think. People need to realize there is no cookie cutter way of looking at. I think people need to realize there is no cookie cutter way of looking at autism.
Mm. So, Valerie, you also talk in the book about how, as a society, we often prioritize correcting behaviors among those with special needs rather than enabling their communication. So, let's talk about what do we get wrong by doing this, and how should we start to shift our perspective?
Well, you have to remember that in many respects that a behavior is a communication. So for an individual who does not have verbal communication capacities, when they are not able to get what they want or feel disrespected, then they're going to act out. And unfortunately, we stare at people who do that rather than trying to really understand what they might be seeking from us. And so I think it's really important for people to take instead of staring at a young adult or a teenager who's acting out in a way that you might associate it with a very young child, you might want to think to yourself, why is this happening? We valorize verbal communication, but not everyone can speak. And these behaviors are an expression of that. And I think also to also understand that we need to pursue alternative forms of communication like what Emily does as well, because it is so opening. It's so freeing in so many ways.
We're going to leave the last word to Emily because we have seen very clearly that you are a super talented writer, a super talented poet also, and you do include a lot of your poetry in your book. Could we potentially be seeing a second book from you, perhaps including specifically poetry?
I know that will happen someday, but for now, my next project is undecided.
Hmm.
Excellent. I like that you leave us wanting more, Emily. So we appreciate that. Emily, Stephanie, Valerie, thank you all for joining us. What an eye-opening experience that you all shared with us. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. We enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. And we want to remind everybody the book is entitled I Have Been Buried Under Years of Dust. You can get it everywhere now. We'll be right back.